Once again, the Greg Proops Film Club convenes here in Hollywood's most salubrious incantation of cinematic excellence, the Los Feliz 3, under the auspices of the August Cinematheque tonight for the 1997 classic directed by David Fincher, starring the angry Michael Douglas, The Game. Now, all y'all, listen. I have to take a poll because this is one of those movies that I've seen on television 274 times. And this is my question to you guys. We're gonna do two questions here. One, by applause, how many people have ever seen this in a movie theater before? Oh, a bunch. Awesome. Well, you guys are hardcore. And then secondly, how many people have never seen this movie before? I am not going to talk about the plot at fucking all. If you haven't seen this before, let this be your initiation. I could only quote the Bible to you. Let he who is without taste be the first to go see some piece of shit instead of coming here tonight. It's the book of Deuteronomy. It was written right here in Silver Lake. And you know, I love doing the film club. Jennifer picked this film for very, very obvious reasons. Look at the state of the world right now. And really, what could be better than the plot of this film that I'm not going to discuss? Than the comeuppance of someone who deserves it so very richly and has no idea what's happening to them through the whole thing. First, let me reach into the globe of mystery and pull out the elixir of cinema. No one knows what this is, but it's made specially backstage here behind Skylight Books in a small alley, and or next to that hamburger stand that I've never been to, but looks pretty groovy. And I think I just broke a glass, which is very, very good luck cinematically. Now I shall close the globe. There we go. If you haven't seen The Game before, wow. Let me put it this way. If you've been watching the news in the last week, and perhaps you watched that interview that Zanny Minton Beddoes did. She's a journalist with a left-wing liberal rag called The Economist. And she interviewed the flapping sea creature that used to live in the Bay Area that moved to Texas, the one who says we're going to Mars, the one who invented a dumpster car that blows up that no one likes, that anyone you see driving one, you know is not just a douchebag, but is in fact the leader of a douche armada of douche canoes who have all volunteered to abrogate any sense of humanity about themselves and substitute it by driving what looks like an armored vehicle from 1915 up and down the street, parading the fact that their penis can no longer not only not achieve tumescence, but is like a small sea creature found in what the waning coral reef outside of Australia looks like. Now, if you watched this interview between the sea creature, who rose from the sea, moved to San Francisco, changed the Twitter logo to a white supremacist Nazi sign, which everybody was like, that's interesting. And then you may recall that he, during the last election, my favorite quote about him was he got on stage and Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, I believe quoted, he said, he pranced like a dipshit. And which I think is going to be the name of my next album. And in fact, he did prance like a dipshit, and because he is, in fact, a dipshit. He's one of those people who, because of his enormous wealth and entitlement, the media finds him utterly fascinating, whereas the rest of us wouldn't sit next to him on a plane. Even a short Southwest flight where you have to assign a seat now, which is bullshit. Because the flapping of his skin while he talks, and the marginality of his imagination, the fact that he believes that we think the thing that's living on his head is real, and that he didn't have it implanted there. The legion of women that he did not impregnate, because like a wilted pistil on a rhododendron that's been left in the sun too long, he cannot find the stamen, nor can he produce pollen in any way. And yet, we're supposed to listen to the things he says. And he says things that are never going to come true. We're not going to Mars on a manned mission. Not during our lifetime. I don't want to crush anyone's fucking House of Pie dreams here in Los Feliz. But no one's going to fucking Mars. That's in the movies, you guys. That's what we think of. Right? And we've been thinking of that for, I don't know, since Jules Verne had a piece of paper to write on. It's been a while. We already knew about AI, okay? Because people have been talking about AI for 500 fucking years. There was a movie when I was a kid called Colossus the Forbin Project. And in fact, it was called Colossus: the Forbin Project. And Forbin was a scientist who created this artificial intelligence computer that was supposed to run all of our defense systems. Stop me when we run into the news. And it merges with the Russian computer and takes over the world and then monitors everyone all the time until everyone is completely bummed out and is white. And that was the plot of the movie. So artificial intelligence is aptly named. Very aptly named, because it is artificial. There is nothing to it. If it helps people who are handicapped or whatever, like Siri and Alexa and all that shit that you use to abrogate the fact that you should have choices in your life, but you don't care anymore, so you just put on Spotify instead of actually selecting the music that you should like, which is why you've come here tonight, because you aren't those people, because you've come to a curated thing that someone actually thought about what you should fucking see and how it might stimulate your imagination. That being aside, artificial intelligence, the idea that it pops up every time you pick up your phone or every time you open your computer, and it's like, hey, would you like me to write this email for you? And I'm like, no, I don't want you to do anything but to devolve. What I'd like you to do is form a neurovirus that's taken up into a drone that only affects billionaires. There's got to be something in their DNA, that horrible disconnect, because they couldn't possibly have the spiral of guanine and thymine. There has to be something missing where there's douchenine. That's one of the parts that holds their helix together. Because they're so misinformed. In any case, if you saw the interview with The Economist, she asked my favorite internet name for him that people call him, Sissy Space X. She asked the sea creature how many people died from him and his antics with Doge and taking away U.S. aid to all the third world countries. And he made a white supremacist sign like that. That was his answer. And then he went, no. And like the idea that we would trust you to look after a cat for the weekend is out of the realm of human imagination. The idea that we would interview you, and by the way, I haven't seen a leather members only jacket like that in a long time. It's been many a year. Not since, what was that? Well, in any case, I think Chris Kattan was the last person I saw wearing one. And so this movie is a dream wish fulfillment for all of us right now, who are living under the aegis of Mark Zuckerberg lost $18 billion yesterday, which is like, I know, right? I want you guys to feel good tonight and in the mood for this movie, because him losing it, you remember how you'd like have a $5 bill and you thought you had it in your pocket and you're like, oh shit, I thought I had that 5 or whatever. And then maybe you find it later in another thing that you look through, you go, oh fuck, it's in my jeans or whatever. And then it's a 20 and you go, fuck, I found a 20. That's like Mark Zuckerberg losing $18 billion. Except that he would never smile or have joy or excitement or recognition or any of those feelings. He would just be like this. And then he'd put on the glasses and be like, ooh, I can read all your chromosomes now. Because that's next. First, he created the metaverse, which, as you recall, was a raging success. $78 billion for that. And he came up with a meme of himself. And now the meta glasses, which they're trying to force on everyone. And then he lost $18 billion yesterday. And honestly, that's a lot of hoodies. That's like his gajillion hoodies. Sorry. I realize I'm talking about the news and that a lot of you probably don't actually watch the news or read it because you're on, TikTok and dick flap and clit lick and butt flap and all those apps and stuff that provide a lot of information. or heaven forbid, you should have what we used to call books, which are now being taken and thrown into machines and the spines cut off so that they can be sent through the Claude GPT AI machine so that Mark Zuckerberg can feel good about when his wife says no for the Oh, it's still Hollywood. I don't give a shit if there's no fucking gigs. I'm still smiling for the camera. By the way, my hair was done by the Heat Miser tonight. In case anyone was wondering where the style came from. It's been a while. I'm as aware of anyone else that I need a cut. I didn't think when the movie Superman came out in the late 70s that Lex Luthor was actually going to take over the earth. That was where it all fell apart for me. We had a million movies that warned us about all of these eventualities. And even that shitty one with Dennis Quaid, or was it Randy Quaid? It was Dennis Quaid, where they all, first off, it was really warm and then they all had to wear parkas. And the whole crowd's gone quiet. All right. Maybe I could broaden the topic from movies. That was a joke too, but I'll just mark that one down here. The most romantic part of film, of course, is that movie theaters have beautiful names like the Aero and the Egyptian. And when I was little in San Carlos, California, the whitest place on earth, home of the Plain Yogurt Festival, when I lived in San Carlos, our movie theaters were the Carlos, the Laurel, and the Tivoli. And then if you wanted to see an art film, you had to go down to Stanford, to Palo Alto, and their art movie theater there that showed like Buñuel films and shit, and you know, Eric Rohmer films, this is the 70s, was called the Aquarius 2, which had a kind of vaguely like gay bathhouse vibe to it, which made it fun to go to. And then we'd go to the Stanford Coffee House. We were teenagers because college girls worked there. And we would order jasmine tea and be like, but when you do comedy, and believe it or not, I'm a comedian. A lot of you who are like, I have no idea why this part of the show is happening. We came to see the game, and there appears to be a man on stage having a breakdown. And if you want a breakdown, stick around for the movie. I'm a comedian, and we are forced to play what they call nightclubs. And I love playing in nightclubs. People come, and again, everyone here knows why they're here. Half of you have seen this in a movie theater, or more than half of you, and almost everyone's seen the movie before. That's dedication to art, and understanding that participating in a communal thing like this is as big a fuck you to the man as anything else we can muster right at this point, right? This theater is called the Los Feliz 3 because it was named after a notorious cinema gang that used to roam this neighborhood, forcing people to watch Greg Araki movies before he made it. In the Todd Solondz movies, they'd put people in a corner and just show them slides or whatever, and animatics from his movies. And which reminds me, I was in Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, okay? And I was invited to go to the ranch. It wasn't a punishment. It was not like a CIA thing. George Lucas had a ranch up in Marin, right? And yes, George Lucas directed me in the movie. I call him George because he directed me in the movie. And by the way, you're like, what fucking part were you in that piece of shit? Hey, fuck you, is what part I was in that fucking piece of shit. I understand about the movie because while we were making it, there was this terrible accident and almost the entire plot of it was destroyed. But we soldiered on. I'm in the pod race, not the podcast, but the pod race. There's a scene in the middle of the movie where you may remember the Jedi are stranded on a planet and their ship, their ship needs repairs. And so they do what anyone who has almost complete control of their physical world around them by using their exquisite mental, highly developed Jedi powers do. They enlist a 6-year-old in a gambling, death-defying pod race against a bunch of murderous aliens, hoping to win a purse. So as you can see, the plot sticks together. And let's not even get into the Jar Jar Binks area. In any case, George, when he made that movie with me, was as relaxed as anyone would be that was spending $1 billion. In other words, he was acting like he was in his kitchen eating Cheese Whiz off of a fucking, what would they used to call them? Chicken and a biscuit. And thank you for the one person who remembers that cracker. We didn't come here to hear about ancient crackers, Greg. Speaking of which, I am an ancient cracker. So we were in enormous prosthetic heads that we had gone in the week before to had made, right? Me and Scott Capurro, who's the other pod race announcer. He's the one who speaks Hatties. I'm the one who speaks English in it. And so the line, what was it? I don't care what universe you're from, that's gotta hurt, right? Like all that jazz. So they made these giant heads and they put them on us. And when we went to the model shop, there was 2 British guys, and they both looked like Ben Whipshaw, and they were vibrating with excitement. They were literally physically vibrating. And I said, why so excited, gentlemen? And one of them said, we had Uma Thurman here last week in her underwear. Because they were making the movie of the Avengers, not the Marvel Avengers, but the remake of the TV show The Avengers that had Ray Fiennes and Uma Thurman and had Eddie Izzard in a bear outfit, was it? It's not a classic. But anyway, she had to get down to her underwear and they made a cat suit for her. And they were still excited about it over 7 days later. So they put these giant heads on us. And in those days, you had to put straws up your nose. So it was kind of a form of George Lucas torture. By the way, I want you to know, in case you thought show business was different 125 years ago when we made this movie, right when the transition from silence to talkies happened, my agent in London said to me, I don't want you to take this movie, the Star Wars. And I said, can I ask you why? And she went, the money. And I went, money? I'll die and there'll be someone with my figure in their room. This goes at the top of my CV. For those of you who haven't been to England, that means curriculum vitae. That goes at the top of my resume till the end of my life. There will be nothing that I will have ever done that will supersede the fact that I was in The Phantom Menace, even though we know that it's not even in the top 4 prequels. But agents give everyone great, great advice. The awesome comedian Kirk Fox said to me, a manager's job is to get you $2,500 for a $2,000 gig and then never stop talking about it. So movie theaters used to have magic names like the Bijou, right? Or in San Francisco, we had the Alhambra and the Royal. When you're a stand-up comic, you play places like Sir Suckle Snucks and Chippies or whatever. And then people ask you where you're playing and you have to tell them, right? Because I have to go play for white people all over the country. I'll go to White Meeting Point, Minnesota or whatever, or Fond du Lac of Pigment, Wisconsin. And, Proud Boy, Missouri or whatever, these towns. And they'll go, well, hey, where are you playing this weekend, Greg? And I'm like, Lamb Shanks in Piddlefuck, Ohio. It used to be Sir Lamb Shanks, but the sign broke off, so they just call it Lamb Shanks now. By the way, I'm not sad about it. These are jokes, but you're a very serious crowd, and I appreciate that about you. You honor everything I say with a moment of silence. Anyway, the flapping sea creature moved to Texas, where every fucking asshole deserves to die. And if you ever driven across Texas, like you drive across California and you're like, oh, look, a mountain. Oh, look, skiing. Oh, look, a beach. Look, an avocado or whatever. And then look, a dog with an avocado. And then, oh, look, a guy with no shirt and leather diapers and a parrot. It's California. You drive through Texas and you're like, God, it smells like cow shit. When does this stop? It's like Cowschwitz. Or Dachau, if you will. And they don't have, it's like titty shop, gun shop, titty bar, gun shop, religious weirdo place, chitty shop, gumbo, you know. The culture's a little, the Mexican food's awesome, hey. But they always move there and they're like, I'm tired of California. And I'm always like, don't let the fucking guacamole dip hit you in the ass on your way out of the state, okay? I invite you to move to Kentucky, okay? And try to find a horchata. That's all I'm asking. All right, everybody who hates California? Zuckenbuck moved to fucking Florida, which will give you a real good idea of where he's coming from and shit like that. So to close tonight's program, and because I didn't want to tell you what the plot is, but I think you get a real good idea. If you harbor enmity in your heart for those who are destroying the world, this movie is going to be not only a salve, but a balm and an edible. It is, in fact, a cinematic edible that will lift you on the wings of hatred. And by the end, you'll be like, what the fuck is happening? And this is one of those movies like Howard Hawks' The Big Sleep. Don't bother trying to figure it out. Go to Fred 62 and get a milkshake after and just fucking cool it. Since we're speaking of my resume and we're about to wrap this up here, the other movie that I appeared in was a classic called Howard the Duck. Because this movie was shot in San Francisco, The Game, but I did not live, I had moved to London by the time they shot it there. But every single person that lived in San Francisco was in the television show Nash Bridges, and I was in the television show Midnight Caller with Gary Cole, where he played a midnight to 8 o'clock DJ who solved crime. Fuck you, it was a good show. And the sign-off was every night he'd light a cigarette and go, "Good night, America, wherever you are." So I got $50 to be an extra in Howard the Duck, and I worked for 5 days. And Willard Huyck and Gloria Katz came onto the set, who had written the movie, and I think directed it too. They had also written American Graffiti with George, my buddy. You remember George from earlier in this show. And I remember they came on the set and they went, "This is awesome. This is the set of Howard the Duck, you guys." And, which, by the way, the plot was, there was a duck, and his name was Howard. There wasn't a lot of plot to the movie, let's be real honest. And she said, "This is awesome." And all I could think of was, what's awesome is that I'm getting $50. And I have to pay Mark Wong, my fucking landlord, $500 in 2 weeks. And the miracle is gonna be how I fucking try to rip you off for another $450. So here we are. I give you now, on that note, I want to say to you, good night, America, wherever you are. And I give you from 1997, the immortal David Fincher's classic psychological thriller starring Michael Douglas, The Game.